Students, now in our previous session, we had a very good understanding about mergers and acquisitions, right? Okay. Now, if you look at these mergers and acquisitions uh, from a practical business perspective, right, in the business world, these mergers and acquisitions could happen in different ways among different companies, right? So today our discussion is about looking at what are these different types of business combinations where a merger or an acquisition could take place, right? So let's take things forward. Right. Right. Now, as you can see on the slide, right, very specifically, these mergers and acquisitions could happen in three different ways, right? So the first is called a horizontal combination. The second type is called a vertical combination. And then the third type is called a conglomerate combination, right? Right. Now, don't uh, uh, get yourself panicked. We will be discussing all of these three types one by one in our next slides. Now let's discuss about horizontal combinations, right? Okay. Now when it comes to horizontal, you all know the direction, right? What do you mean by the horizontal direction? Right? Yeah, something like this, right? Just keep this in your mind, right? Just keep this in your mind while we are digging deeper on the definition, right? Okay, fine. Now, in a horizontal combination, right, there are two or more companies are combining together. That, of course, you all know, right? Either through a merger or an acquisition. But there are two conditions that you need to fulfill, right? There are two conditions that you need to fulfill. The first condition is the companies who are combining together should be from the same industry, should be from the same industry. This is the first condition, right? Should be from the same industry. Then what is the second condition? Second condition is the companies which are combining should be performing the similar activities at the same stage of the production and distribution process, right? Right. Now, students, if you look at the stages of the production and distribution process, right, there are different stages. No, you have the raw material sourcing stage, then you have the manufacturing or the processing stage, then you have the uh, distribution stage, then you have the retail stage, and then you have the after sales stage. So anyway, this suggests, or horizontal combination suggests us that the company should be performing the same business activity in the same stage of the production and the distribution process, right? So these are the two conditions that you need to fulfill, okay, right, that you need to fulfill. Now, just to explain you furthermore, I have taken two examples, right? Because these concepts should be learned with the practical application, right? So we'll look at these two examples, and we'll try to elaborate furthermore about horizontal combination, right? Now, if you look at the first example, right, there are two companies, right? There are two companies, right? ABC company and then 123 company. Okay. Now the similarity of these two companies is where, right? These two companies are from the automobile industry, right? Automobile industry, right? Right? Automobile industry or automotive industry, same industry, right? And also the other thing is these two companies are performing the similar activity in the production and the distribution process. So these two companies, ABC Automotive and 123 Automotive, right? They are into manufacturing. Right? They are into manufacturing automobiles, vehicles, right? Ah, similar activity. Now, if these two companies get together or combine, if ABC Automotive and 123 Automotive combines together either through a merger or an acquisition, we can call this as a horizontal combination. Why? Same industry and then same activity in the production and the distribution process. Okay. So let's take another example and see, right? Just to clear out all the doubts. Okay. Now let's take the second example. Okay. So you have Sun Clothing Company, right? Right. So you have Sun Clothing Company, and then you have Star Clothing Company. So both the companies are into the same industry, which is the clothing industry, right? Then let's look at what is the activity that they conduct in the production and the distribution process. So they have outlets or stores, right? So the retail outlets, right? Okay, right. So which means they are at the retail stage of the production and the distribution process. Both the companies, Sun and Star, in the same industry, which is clothing, and following the same business activity in the process, which is the retail, uh, uh, retail stage, right? Now, if Sun Clothing and Star Clothing combine together through a merger or an acquisition, we can call it as a horizontal combination, right? Now, can you see these two examples are following the two main conditions for a horizontal combination? Okay. Now, if you look at this horizontal line, this actually emphasizes us that the combination is occurring, right, that the combination is occurring at the same level, so that's why it is been emphasized by this horizontal line or the direction. Okay, so I hope so students, did you all understand the concept? That's what matters, right? Everyone, did you all understand the concept? Understood? If you all have any questions, you all can raise them. Okay, right, good. Now now let's look at, if you look at these horizontal combinations, right, happens, right, to fulfill different types of purposes, right, for different types of purposes. So I have highlighted two main purposes as to why these horizontal combinations are occurring, right? Number one is to increase market share, right? Number one is to increase market share. Why? Because now you all have a very good understanding when you look at horizontal combination. Uh, Two or more companies who are in the same industry combining together, right? And very specifically who are fulfilling the same business activity, right? So very specifically, uh, companies who are in the same parameter will be combining. So that will lead to increase in market share, because all these companies combining together, they are in the they actually I mean, they're sharing the same market, right? So the combination will increase the market share, right? Just like in our examples, right? A, B, C, and 1, 2, 3, they were in the automobile manufacturing industry. Two giants, if they get together, both the companies will pool their markets together. So that will increase the market share. And then number two, this will reduce competition. There you go, right? So basically, in horizontal combination, right, companies who are in the same industry, right, who are fulfilling the same business activity, which means they are they're competitors, huh? Right? Who are doing the same business activity, who are in the same industry. So which means they can be known as competitors, right? So when these competitors get together, what happens? It will reduce the competition, right? Okay, so as an example, right, Sun Clothing and Star Clothing, right, they have separate retail outlets or clothing stores, right, but same industry. So these two might have been competitors. So if Star Clothing and Sun Clothing get together, that will reduce the competition, that will reduce the competition, right? So these are the two main purposes as to why horizontal combinations are occurring. So I just want you to what do you call, keep this horizontal direction in your mind, that emphasizes the combination between same level companies. Understood? Right. Okay, now let's discuss about vertical combinations, right? Very simple, right? Now, as per the word says, first you need to reconcile about the direction, right? Vertical means this, right? Vertical means this. Just focus on the direction and then try to elaborate the definition, right? Right. So, what is a vertical combination, right? This is where the combination, right, or two or more companies will combine who are in the same industry. That's the first condition, right? The combination could occur, right, or the merger or the acquisition could occur between companies who are in the same industry, right? Just as usual in the horizontal combination. But the second condition is different. This is where the combination would occur between companies who are at the different stages of the production and the distribution process. Right? Very important. Combination could occur between the companies who are in the same industry. Fine. But the companies are uh, following business activities at different stages of the production and the distribution process, right? That's the second condition, right? So in order to elaborate this furthermore, right, let's look at let's try to reconcile about the production and the distribution process, right, through a small example, right? Okay, so I have taken the milk processing industry, right? The milk, right, processing industry, milk processing industry as an example, right? Just to elaborate about the production and the distribution process, right? Now, if you look at the milk processing industry, the process starts at the raw material stage, where this is where students uh, raw milk, right? Raw milk from cows will be produced from farms. And then it goes to the second stage where the manufacturing stage occurs. So this is where the raw milk which is being collected is being processed and packaged properly, right? So different companies will be adding value to raw milk, right? So you add flavors to it, now chocolate flavor, vanilla flavor, strawberry flavor, and so you add value in the manufacturing stage, right? This is the first stage. the second stage. And then you have the third stage, which is the distribution stage, right? Now this is where the processed milk, right, the processed milk will be transported, right, to different shops and supermarkets in various locations, right, because this processed milk should be available for customers for buying. So in distribution we will be focusing on taking this processed milk into different shops and supermarkets in different locations. And then you have the fourth stage. So this is where uh, the processed milk will be sold, or milk products will be sold to different customers through certain supermarkets, through certain boutiques, shops, right? That's the retail stage. And then you have the fifth stage, right? This is where you be considering about the after sales services, which means in here you be focusing on what you call dealing with customer inquiries, right, doing quality checks, right, getting feedback from customers. Those things are called after sales services, right? Okay, so basically students, this is the production and the distribution process of a milk processing industry. Okay, right. Now why explain this? We are gonna put vertical combination to this industry. Okay, right. Now uh, if you take vertical combination, right, so vertical combination, as per the definition that we have elaborated, right, the merger or the acquisition could occur, right, the merger or the acquisition, right, could occur same industry, which is the milk processing industry, but the companies who are at the different stages of the process, right, different stages of the process, right. So you have to have a very good understanding about the process. Okay, right. Right. Now if you take vertical combination, students, we have to take our discussion ahead furthermore, right. We have to take our discussion ahead furthermore, right. Now uh, okay, based on the merger or the acquisition that happens, right, in the same industry among the different stages of the manufacturing and the distribution process, we can get to find two types of it, right. We can get to find two types of it, right, right, right. First is the first type of a vertical combination, we can call it as a forward integration. What do you mean by a forward integration, right? What do you mean by a forward integration, right? So very simply, forward integration means, right, you have to focus on the direction. You have to focus on the direction, right? In here, what happens? Uh, let's say, let's assume that in the milk processing industry, there's a company called Company A. Right? There's a company called Company A who is performing the distribution activities in the milk processing industry. Right? Right? As I mentioned earlier, right? As I mentioned earlier, right? Distribution means what? Transporting these processed milk into different locations, different supermarkets, and different shops. Right? Now, what if this company called A move forward, right? Move forward and combines with a retailer or with a business organizations who is involved in after sales business activities. Then this is called a forward integration. why a distribution company is moving forward in the process. We are combining either through a merger or an acquisition with a retailer or after sales services company. Okay, right? Right. So in here, company A could what do you call, merge with a, let's say, a supermarket chain, a popular supermarket chain, right? So that's, they're moving forward. They're moving forward. Then the second way how a vertical combination could occur is through a backward integration, simply the opposite of forward integration, right? Now you go backwards in the production and the distribution process. So we take the same example, right? Company A, right, who is distributing, right, who is distributing, right, manufacturing and distribution both, that's fine, okay. So this company A, right, either merge or acquire a supplier, right? A supplier, right? A supplier or a farm, right? Or a farm which produces raw milk. So can you see, company A, who has been a milk distribution company, now goes back in the production and the distribution process, and you merge or either you acquire a company who is supplying milk products, which is a farm, right? So these are the two ways how a vertical business combination could occur, right? I hope you all understood it very clearly, students, right? Now I will give you like a few seconds, like 20 seconds, just to reconcile the whole concept that we learned, right? And we'll take things forward about the purposes, right? All right, okay. So I hope everything is clear. So can I get a small confirmation? Did you understand the vertical combination concept very clearly? Yes, crystal clear. Yes, super. Right. Now let's look at why these vertical combinations are occurring, right? Why these vertical combinations are occurring, right? The first main purpose to have a vertical combination is to improve the supply chain control, right? Now supply chain is this, right? This whole process is can be taken as the supply chain process, from the point of sourcing material and up until the time you sell it to the customers, right? The whole thing is taken as a supply chain, right? Okay. So as a result of a vertical combination, or as a result of a merge or an acquisition in between companies who are at different stages of the uh, production and the distribution process or the supply chain process, that will lead to more improvements in the supply chain control, right? Right, because the combination will occur in between different companies who are at the different stages, right? Who are at the different stages. So as a result of it, this will lead to uh, less delays, less shortages, because you control the entire process, right? You control the, not the entire process, but different stages you control. So that will reduce all the shortages and delays in the process, okay, right? The second purpose of a vertical combination means it will reduce the cost. How it will reduce the cost, right? Okay. Now, since you have the control over the supply chain activities, right? Okay, up to some extent, not the full autonomy or the full control, right? So you have companies combined together at different stages, so that will reduce the existence of middlemen. When middleman is there, then sometimes what do you call, these middlemen will also add their prices, add their margins, and then that will increase the cost of the final product, But as a result of vertical combination, you can simply control the entire supply chain up to some extent, and you can reduce all these middlemen, right? Okay, because sometimes you own what you call the raw material sourcing part, you earn the retail part, right? You own the retail part. So in that case, that will reduce all the existence of middlemen, and that will lead to reduction in cost at the end of the day, right? So these are the main purposes of vertical combinations, right? And also this is the main understanding of the vertical combination type. Okay, so next we have to talk about the third type of business combination of how a merger and acquisition takes. Before that, just take a few minutes and just try to reconcile of what we have learned. Alright students, now let's discuss about conglomerate combination, or the third and the final type of business combinations. Right now, this conglomerate combination is very easy to understand, not complicated at all. Okay, right? Okay, fine. Now what is a conglomerate combination? Right, what is a conglomerate combination? Right, this is a combination where combination means, right, a merger or an acquisition occurs between two companies, two or more companies, who are completely different industries, right? 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 The combination occurs between companies who are from completely different industries. Okay, so that is called a conglomerate combination. Very simple. Right, now I have given you a very colorful example as well, just for you all to understand. Okay, right. Now you have company A, right? So company A from the soft drinks manufacturing industry, right? And then you have company B from the hotel industry, right? What if company A and company B combines together? So according to the example, they have merged, right? They have merged together. It could happen, right? Right? So then this will be taken as a conglomerate combination. Why company A from soft drinks industry, and then soft drinks and beverage industry, and then company B is from the hotel industry. So two different industries companies combining together. Then this is a conglomerate combination, right? Right. Now, students, you might be wondering why companies are combining with industries which are not related to each other, which are different. Very specifically, the main purpose is to reduce the business risk, right? Now, what do you mean by this? Which means, right now, let's say uh, if you put all of your money, if you put all of your investments into one particular industry, right, in a company, what if that company fails due to certain conditions, right? Could be business conditions, environmental, whatever the reason. What if that industry fails? Then all of your money have been stuck in that industry, and it will go down the drain, right? Then there's a huge business risk. So in order to reduce that, you can pool, or you can share your investments into different industries. So if one company that you have invested in one industry goes down or makes a loss, that's fine, because you have invested in other companies in other industries, so you can gain from those industries. So that will lead to reduction in businesses. So we call this concept as diversification, right? We call this concept as diversification, right? So if one business fails, if one industry doesn't perform well, don't worry, you have other industries that will bring you revenue and profits. So that's the whole purpose of heading towards a conglomerate combination, where uh, two companies what do you call combining together with two different industries or two or more different industries. Okay, right. So this is about conglomerate combination, and students, I think this marks the end of our what do you call long discussion about business combination. I think, but I think all of you all have been having a very good interesting time, right? When we were discussing conglomerate, when we were discussing business combinations, where we discussed the concepts with a lot of practical explanations, right? Mergers, acquisitions, then vertical, horizontal, conglomerate, all these things are practically executed. So in that case, it was a very interesting time. So anyways, I hope you all understand everything. Understood? So can I get a small thumbs up whether you all have understood everything? Yes? Good, right. Okay, students. So this is the end of business combination.